A lot of the diseases that you see came about when either you have famine or war or conditions of poverty, poor sanitation. So the whole area would be toxic. Your body would be in an area of great toxicity. And then also we saw an exponential rise in disease during the Industrial Revolution. And you saw diseases appearing that had never been around before. And the nearer the equator you go, you wouldn't get these diseases. And then, of course, some of the diseases, and I've had people argue and say, oh, they were there, they just didn't have a name for them. No, they weren't there. Multiple sclerosis, which is an interesting one, actually. I always pick MS because in one study, they looked at the damaged myelin sheath in all patients at autopsy, and it tested 100% for Epstein-Barr virus. And of course, Epstein-Barr virus is added to, I believe it's the hepatitis B vaccine. So these vaccines, which are given to the patient, so we have all this toxicity, and we're told it's viruses which are contagious, which began with the Rockefeller, J.D. Rockefeller, buying into medical schools, putting 2 members of his people on the board, putting lots of money in. And then all of a sudden you had to go for him for a license. So that meant the naturopaths couldn't have licenses. So you had all the naturopathic schools closing down. The satire at the beginning of the century was the allopaths. The treatment would kill you, the naturopaths, the disease would kill you. And the allopaths are our modern day doctors, and they were called the quacks. Mm-hmm. That was where the term came from. Mm-hmm. And so now you had a whole system where they got rid of all the Chinese herbalists, the acupuncturists, anything that was classed as not allopathic. And there was actually a test done in the early 2000, I can't remember the exact year, and they took a group of American servicemen and they injected them with radio opaque, which means it shows up. Yeah. They radio opaque dye into the vortexes as it was shown on Chinese charts, and they put these American servicemen into an MRI scanner, and it showed up exact this radio opaque dye in the vortexes and going around the meridian lines, which is exactly what was on old charts. So what's actually happened is J.D. Rockefeller and his gangster club have literally buried real medicine that has been around forever. And it's the same gangsters. I always, when I hear women, going on about women's lib and we've all got the rights and we're all equal and all the rest of it. And yes, I'm not talking about we need to be in the doll's house and be beaten every day. No, we want to be respected as women for what we do, the foundation of the family, the mothers to the children. We hold the whole thing together. Behind every good man is a fantastic woman. So it was J.D. Rockefeller who, of course, came along and funded the suffragette movement, not because he liked us ladies. It's because he wanted us in the workforce so he could tax us, and then he could take our children, cram them into the Rockefeller schools and teach them only the history that they wanted them to learn, knock all the corners off you, and it would actually destabilize the family, which is exactly what it's done. And just digressing slightly, if you want a true story of history, go and read some books from the 1700s. They're completely different history to the bullcrap that you get today. So when we talk about the germ theory and this whole thing that you can catch a virus, which of course, as Kevin's touched on and you've touched on, Charlie, there are exosomes. Dr. James Hildreth said exosomes and viruses are one and the same. And that lovely image of COVID-19 was actually computer generated and coloured in. And the size and shape of it is identical to an exosome. Even the ACE2 receptor is identical. So what they've actually done is led us to believe that we can catch a virus and the germ with a theory, just like the theory of evolution, which is a lie, because there's a whole big gap in that. And yet it's taught us facts, and it's taught in the medical schools, it's taught in the nursing schools, and then it's taught in the schools, this whole lie, and it's literally embedded. It's embedded. It's like knitting something and dropping stitches all the way along. It's never going to look right. It's never going to turn out right. Ultimately, it's going to be a crap cardigan that doesn't fit. And we literally need to rip it all out and start again. And everything has its sell-by dates. And I do believe the whole Rockefeller witchcraft and sorcery medical system is coming to an end. It's literally coming to an end.